Hey everyone, this is Dr. Brad Dieter from Eat to Perform here. This is the very first episode of a video series that we're going to be calling Ask Dr. Brad. So we get a lot of questions in the Eat to Perform, forums, the Facebook pages, the coaching, and we thought it'd be a great thing to have a resource where you guys can ask questions and we will try to answer them in a kind of a short format and kind of give you quick hitting answers to really complex problems. So today's topic, we're going to kind of each episode have a theme, and one of the themes today is workout nutrition. So the first question we got was, what's the deal with post-workout nutrition and what's the truth about the post-workout window? So this has been a very common thing kind of put out there in popular media and a lot of the research world is that there's this what we call anabolic window, or what some people have termed the window of opportunity, the window of gains, this hour or so post-workout where whatever you eat goes straight to muscle building and you really need to eat something within that hour. So that's really something that's been disproved kind of recently in the research world. We actually had Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, who was one of the authors on a meta-analysis in our coaches course, and we talked about his research. But basically, when you look at all the research across all of the studies that have been done, what we notice is that the anabolic window, so to speak, is a lot more flexible than most people think. And that really eating anything, anywhere between right after your workout to 3 or 4 or 5 hours after your workout isn't going to make a big difference in terms of muscle growth and muscle gain from that aspect. So you can get a meal right after you eat or right after you train, or you can get it 3 or 4 hours after you train. And if you don't get something in that 30 to 60 minute window, you're not going to lose all your gains. It really appears that the whole day of your nutrition status is really what determines the success of your muscle growth or your muscle gain over time. Now, another question we got was about, what else we need to think about workout nutrition. So if the post-workout nutrition really isn't that critical, what about the pre-workout nutrition? Now, this is something that we find may actually have some benefits. So, one of the things we know about increases in muscle mass, increases in strength, increases in performance in a lot of aspects is it's determined by your training volume. So how much you can train in each given session and how many times a week you can train, essentially over time is a really rough way to think about it. And what we know is that, pre-workout nutrition, specifically carbohydrates or some quick digesting proteins, are beneficial in terms of improving the quality and the capacity of your work during training. So pre-workout nutrition is something to be considered probably more so than your post-workout nutrition. So you can train really hard and then go 3 or 4 hours without eating and then eat a big dinner or a big snack and kind of be okay. But if you go 5 or 6 hours without eating before training, your energy levels are probably going to be pretty low and you're probably not going to have the work capacity to get a lot of volume in. So we kind of prioritize pre-workout nutrition a little bit over post-workout nutrition. So that brings us to the third question of the episode. And that is, what's the deal with fast and slow carbohydrates? I've heard that it doesn't matter what you eat, and I've heard that you should really try to only eat fast carbohydrates before you work out. So when we look at the science behind and the research behind all these things is the idea of fast and slow carbohydrates is they're kind of on a continuum, right? Some like broccoli just don't digest at all and don't give you any carbohydrates. Things like dextrose or eating Smarties gives you on the other end. And that these ones are more easily digestible and will give you more energy, kind of the faster carbs. And the slower carbs probably won't give you any real benefit to your training. And if it's something like broccoli, you're probably going to have a lot of gut problems while you're training. So probably not a good idea. But, things like, making a distinction between, oh my God, I'm eating an unripe banana versus a ripe banana is probably not something you need to be too stressed out about. So we really try to tell people that try to focus on eating your faster digesting carbohydrates closer to your workout and the other ones the rest of the time because you don't really need instant sources of energy. Now, to break that down a little bit further, of those kind of faster digesting carbs, things like white rice potatoes, ripe bananas, dates, things that are really high in simple sugars are a lot more easily digested and can help fuel your workouts more. Now, if it's like an hour before and you want to get a snack in and you want to have some oatmeal instead of some white rice, that's totally fine. It's not something where you need to be overly neurotic about it, but it's probably a safer bet to try to eat more of those fast carbs closer to your workout than the slower carbs, because we're trying to optimize our training time and get the most out of each training session that we can. So that's the first episode of Dr. Brad, or of Ask Dr. Brad, and we will catch you guys later.